let's talk about the WNBA. They have made an offer that the players probably best not refuse at this point. It is a sizable offer. It is a step up from what was already a very lucrative offer that was, roughly almost 4 times what they're getting paid right now. Something right around, it was around $1 million a year on a Supermax. Some came out and said it was $850,000. The WNBA is stepping up their game now.
Have you heard the news? The WNBA just tabled a new collective bargaining agreement proposal, and believe me, it is nothing like anything the league has ever put on the table before. We are talking about salaries absolutely skyrocketing. For the first time in the entire history of the league, maximum contracts are poised to break the 7-figure barrier. Just imagine that superstars like Caitlin Clark could soon be earning over $1 million a year, but, and this is a massive but, there's a catch hidden in the details that's stirring up some serious controversy among the players. This single deal has the power to reshape the future of women's basketball forever. So I've got to ask you, drop a comment right now. Do you think the WNBA players should jump at this historic raise, or is this the moment they should hold out, dig their heels in, and demand even better terms on revenue sharing? The WNBA just made a power move that absolutely nobody saw coming. They've presented a new CBA offer that would completely and fundamentally change the financial landscape of women's basketball as we know it. This isn't just some small incremental bump in salaries. What we're witnessing is a potential top-to-bottom transformation. For the very first time, the maximum salary for a player would blast past the $1 million mark. Let that number really sink in for a moment. Players in the WNBA could be earning over $1 million per year. That has never, ever happened before. This is truly historic.
Now officially over $1 million. Now part of this is, and this is going to be interesting because $1 million or over $1 million sound a lot better 6 weeks ago before the emergence of Project B and actual WNBA players signing with Project B for what has already been, it's already been revealed, a minimum of $2 million. And I can tell you right now, Gumake, Alyssa Thomas, and Jonquel Jones got more than $2 million.
But hold on. Before everyone starts popping champagne and celebrating, there is a whole lot more to unpack here. The backstory is crucial. The previous collective bargaining agreement was originally set to expire on October 3rd. Recognizing they needed more time, the league and the union smartly agreed to a 30-day extension, pushing the deadline to November 30th to give themselves a bigger window to negotiate. That extension gave both sides the breathing room they needed to figure out what a new, modern deal could actually look like. And it seems the WNBA used that time to craft an offer they believed would be too good for the players to refuse. According to inside reports, this new CBA proposal would kick in starting with the 2026 season and would feature some truly staggering salary increases. For players with 0 to 2 years of experience, the rookies and rising stars, the minimum salary would jump to an incredible. That alone is a substantial, life-changing increase from previous years. And for the veterans, players with 3 or more years of experience, the minimum would soar to over 4. Let me put that in perspective. That's more than quadrupling the previous minimums for many players. These aren't just minor adjustments. These are transformative numbers for the rank-and-file players who make up the heart of every team, but don't command the maximum salary. Speaking of which, the maximum salary would officially exceed $1.1 million per team member. And here's the really critical part. Multiple players on a single roster could earn that maximum. This is a huge departure from how max salaries work in many other sports, where often only 1 or 2 players can occupy that top tier. In this WNBA proposal, you could have a team where multiple stars are all compensated at the highest possible level. That's absolutely revolutionary. It means teams could genuinely assemble championship-caliber rosters where multiple superstars are all paid what they're worth. And it gets better. Over the full duration of the CBA, these salary figures would continue to increase, providing consistent, reliable raises throughout the entire agreement. This is exactly how salary progression is supposed to work. Players aren't just getting a one-time pay bump and then stagnating for years. They're getting annual increases that keep pace with inflation and the league's incredible growth. That's the hallmark of responsible, fair labor negotiation. The impact on someone like Caitlin Clark would be nothing short of monumental. As one of the top players in the league, she would be immediately eligible for maximum salary consideration. She could literally be earning over $1 million annually, a level of compensation that would have seemed like pure fantasy for a women's basketball player just a handful of years ago. The fact that she could reach that milestone so early in her career shows you just how much the landscape has shifted and frankly how much her own presence has directly driven that change.
In the league. Exciting news just recently about the new offer from the WNBA to the players with a max salary of $1.1 million that goes up each year of the contract, plus a higher league minimum at $220,000. So all really, really good news. Things are trending up in that way. Now, we still have one major problem, at least one major problem. And in all actuality, this is what is stopping the deal from getting done right here. It's in black and white. You can see it. This is what is stopping the deal from getting done.
But this is where things start to get really complicated, because money isn't the only thing on the table. The WNBA, which is the powerful players' union, has laid out several other critical demands that go far beyond just salary increases. They want charter flights for all teams, which is a massive quality of life and safety issue. This means players would finally fly on private planes between games instead of dealing with the chaos and delays of commercial flights like they currently do. They are also demanding better benefits, changes to the roster size, and a revision of the prioritization rule that would give players more control over their own schedules and crucial time off or the off-season. You have to understand, these are incredibly important quality of life issues that for many players are just as significant as the number on their paycheck.
We know all of that stuff. This is where we got to get to. The November 19th update. Okay? This is what is stopping the...
However, when you cut through all the other points of the agreement, the primary number one concern for the union remains a revenue-sharing model that is directly tied to league growth. This is the big one, the major sticking point. The union doesn't just want bigger fixed salaries. They want a system where player salaries grow in direct proportion to the league's overall revenue. And when you think about it, it makes perfect sense. If the league is making more money from TV deals, merchandise, and ticket sales, shouldn't the players, the very people generating that revenue, see a proportional increase in their compensation? That's the fundamental, logical argument. Right now, under the existing agreement, salaries rise by a fixed flat 3% annually. That's it. It doesn't matter if the league's revenue doubles or triples. Player salary only inch up by 3% a year. The union, quite rightly, thinks that's fundamentally unfair. Players currently receive only about 9% of all revenue generated by the league. Now compare that to the NBA, where players receive between 49% and 51% of the revenue. The gap isn't just large, it's a chasm. The union argues that women's basketball players deserve a revenue-sharing percentage that is at least in the same ballpark as their NBA counterparts. The WNBA's new offer, despite its historic salary numbers, reportedly maintains this outdated fixed-rate system. That means the league is essentially saying yes to headline-grabbing salary increases, but a hard no to a revenue-sharing model tied to league growth. They're offering a massive fixed raise, telling players, you'll get your increase every year, but it's predetermined and it won't change no matter how profitable the league becomes. The union is firing back, saying, we appreciate the increase, but we also demand a piece of the growing pie we're helping to create. This creates an incredibly difficult choice for the players. On one hand, the salary increases are genuinely historic. Minimum salaries more than tripling for younger players is massive. Maximums more than quintupling is enormous. These are raises that could change lives and establish real generational wealth for players who are currently earning far, far less. On the other hand, rejecting this offer in the hopes of getting revenue sharing could be incredibly risky. What if the negotiations drag on for months? What if the league gets frustrated and decides to walk away from the table? The stakes are unbelievably high. Without a new CBA in place, the league cannot conduct the upcoming expansion draft. It cannot handle free agency. It cannot even conduct the 2026 WNBA draft. All of those operations are absolutely critical to the league's basic functioning. The season simply cannot proceed normally without a new CBA. Both sides are facing immense pressure to strike a deal quickly, or the entire 2026 season could be delayed or seriously disrupted. Both sides understand that time is rapidly running out. The deadline is November. If no agreement is reached by then, the league could face a work stoppage. Players could go on strike. The season could be put on hold. Neither side wants that disastrous outcome, but both are using that pressure as leverage. The WNBA is saying, "We've offered historic raises, be grateful, and take the deal." The union is responding, "We deserve more than fixed increases. We deserve to share in the growth we've created." What makes the timing of this so fascinating is that it comes shortly after superstar Alyssa Thomas signed with Project B, a new Saudi-backed women's league. Project B is offering highly competitive salaries and providing lucrative off-season opportunities, and Nneka Ogwumike also signed with them. These high-profile signings send a clear signal there are now viable alternatives to the WNBA. Players have options, and that gives them serious leverage. The WNBA knows that if they don't offer competitive compensation, their elite players could defect to these new leagues. Project B is scheduled to run from November 2026 to April 2027, which perfectly covers the WNBA offseason. Instead of playing in scattered overseas leagues, players can join a single professional league that pays well and provides global exposure, offering high salaries, equity stakes, and an 11-week global schedule. That's incredibly attractive. And it's not just them. Unrivaled is another alternative league, creating competition. These leagues prove the market for women's basketball is exploding beyond just the WNBA. Players now realize they have multiple paths to make a great living, and that leverage is crucial in these CBA talks. If players feel undervalued by the WNBA, they can credibly threaten to play elsewhere. The very existence of this historic offer shows that the WNBA is taking this threat seriously. They're trying to keep their stars happy and locked in. From a business standpoint, the WNBA's offer makes a certain kind of sense. They're essentially saying, "We can't afford to lock into a revenue-sharing model right now, but we can give you these huge fixed increases to keep you here." The union's counter is, "The league is profitable and growing, so we deserve to share in that growth." Both sides have valid points. The revenue-sharing argument is especially powerful when you look at the trajectory of women's basketball. Viewership is through the roof. Attendance is soaring. Media rights deals are getting bigger and better. The league is undeniably on the rise, with players like Caitlin Clark driving that growth. It only makes logical sense that they should benefit proportionally. The current system, where players get only 9% of revenue while the NBA gets around 50%, seems fundamentally broken. However, the WNBA might be worried about the financial risk of locking into a high revenue-sharing percentage. If the league hits a downturn, they'd still be on the hook for massive player compensation. For Caitlin Clark, this is particularly interesting because she is at the very center of this growth story. The WNBA knows she's a huge driver of interest, and that if she's unhappy, she could become a powerful voice for the players demanding more. Ultimately, the union has a strategic decision to make. Do they take the guaranteed historic raises, or do they hold out for revenue sharing and risk a work stoppage? This negotiation is a watershed moment. The WNBA is offering compensation that was unimaginable 5 years ago. That's real progress. The question is whether it's enough progress. The fact that this conversation is even happening shows how far the league has come. The discussion has shifted from mere survival to how to fairly distribute the wealth of a thriving business. The WNBA's offer is historic, but it feels incomplete. The salary increases are massive, but revenue sharing remains off the table. Now Caitlin Clark and every other player have to decide if this is enough or if this is the moment to push for more. If you think the players should accept this deal, smash that like button and subscribe for more WNBA coverage. And comment below, I really want to know what you think. What's more important, massive, guaranteed salary increases, or a fair revenue sharing model for the future?